Into a bit of Rallycross. What an incredible move there by the Red Bull car. As a racing driver, what I absolutely love about driving is extracting the most speed from a car that I can and pushing that car to the limit. The other thing that I love is wheel-to-wheel racing. And so in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the best overtaking maneuvers that we can find on the internet. So first of all, the move is great. If you look at the edge of the screen here, we've got the Red Bull Peugeot coming around the outside, doing one of those big rally driving maneuvers where they really send it around the outside. The momentum pushes the car to the outside, but then with all that angle, they're almost backing the car into the corner. But with all that angle and the four-wheel drive, with the four wheels working to pull the car back into line, onto the right racing line, you can slingshot then back out of the corner. But what's most important here, what's most interesting, is if you look at the Red Bull car, once he gets into first position, he then backs everybody else up, and he actually gets on the brakes probably a little bit too much for this next right-hander, which slows everybody down, which takes everybody behind him by surprise a little bit, and therefore elongates the field and gives them a little bit of room to breathe. So here we are on board with a bit of karting in the UK, Club 100, really fantastic championship if you want to get into karting. On board with SuperGT here, looks like he's in second position, getting a good run out of the previous corner. The driver in front's defending on the right hand side. SuperGT goes to the outside, hangs it around the outside, really late on the brakes, great move there. He's on the inside for the next corner and gets the job done pretty much. There we go, and he's got the job done. Really great driving from both drivers there. And there's a little technique here that I do want to go over. So as you can see, SuperGT's got a good run. The driver in front knows that SuperGT's got a run on him, so he's over to the right-hand side defending. Now, he stays connected to the back of the car in front, and then at the last moment, just here, he jinks to the outside. Now, the reason that he does that at the last moment is he doesn't want to give the driver in front the opportunity to come over to the left-hand side to open up the next corner. Part of the skill of overtaking is getting the driver in front of you to defend and drive on kind of the wrong parts of the circuit where they are actually compromising their next bend, and that's what SuperGT does here so well. He keeps him over to the right-hand side, jinks out at the last moment, then the driver in front hasn't got the opportunity to open up his racing line, therefore it's super tight coming into the next corner, and SuperGT can get on the brakes later than him and send the car around the outside. Okay, so into some slow-mo footage of the Aussie V8. We're looking for the black car there that's just touching the wall. Andy's going to make a move here, another Red Bull car, and gets up the inside. Technically, this is a very good overtaking maneuver, and the reason is, if we head back, on a corner like this, so we've got the right-hander leading into the left, you can see that most of the other cars are actually not using all of the road on the outside, and that's because it's worthwhile to get the car further over to the right-hand side of the circuit, because the next left has a bit of a straight after it, and you need to open up the racing line as much as possible. However, when you're trying to do a maneuver, you'll take your opportunities wherever you can, and in this instance, the Red Bull car is actually on a slightly wider line coming around the previous corner, which means that he can carry more speed than his opponent in front of him because he's on that wider arc. Granted, he touches the wall, which is a bit of a problem, but then here, at this moment, what you can actually see that he's doing very intelligently is shortcutting the line to the next corner, so there's a shorter distance to cover. But more importantly, at this point, the car, the Red Bull car, is sat with a flatter platform, and that means that the weight across each side of the car is more evenly distributed. Therefore, more of the tyre's grip can be used for braking rather than turning, which means that he's able to get on the brakes later than his opponent and get the overtaking maneuver done. Okay, here we are on board a very wet Spa again, coming down the Kemmel Straight. Oh my God, okay, oh, and he saved it. Okay, we're back on the track. That's a very, very scary moment, and the driver's eyes must have been on absolute stalks. Let's watch that back again and see what happened. Of course, when you're coming down the straight here, especially at Spa where all the spray kind of hangs in the trees, it doesn't get released away from the track. And in a single-seater car like this, as you've probably seen in F1, all of the spray gets flung up into the air and it kind of hangs in the air, especially here at Spa. As we're coming along the straight here, you can't really see anything, and something's happened in front of him, and all the other cars are going dramatically slower than he is. Really fast reactions to get the car to the outside. Of course, getting on the brakes isn't an option here. There's not enough space to slow down. So he turns the car, jinks it out the way, and then instantly realizes that we're going to have to turn the other way because we are heading towards the grass and the barrier here. Luckily, he gets that done still while he's on the tarmac, so the tyres do have a little bit of grip. And then he manages to collect it with a full armful of opposite lock there before he brings the car back onto the circuit. So fantastic car control by this driver and super fast reactions. Okay, so into a bit of NASCAR. I think we've got a safety car restart here. Car coming from miles at the back. No one's defending. It's going around the outside of all of them. Kyle Busch around the outside of all of them. Is he going to make it into the lead? That's incredible. Now, what I think Busch has done there is hung back, got the momentum going, timed it absolutely perfectly with the green flag, and then taken that momentum to drive around the outside of the entire field. So here we are, just coming out the top of Racin, coming down the Kemmel Straight at Spa. We're getting a good tow from the car in front of us. Moves to the outside, and then the car in front is a little bit naughty. He continued to move. If we just go back, he moved after the onboard car had already got alongside. And in my opinion, and actually what the rules are in the majority of race series, once you get to this position where you've got your front wheel part way alongside the car in front, when you're going along the straight, they can't move across on you. That is illegal. So there's a couple of things here. The green car, you know, has been a little bit naughty with his racecraft there, but fair play to the car that we're riding on board with. He's kept his foot absolutely flat out, fully committed, and you know, in an aero car here, when the grass is dry on the outside, it actually has a little bit of grip, so you can continue and do that, and it's good that this car managed to do that and get the overtaking manoeuvre done. So here we have some F3 racing at Macau, coming down the back straight here. Red Bull car's getting a really good tow, goes to the outside and around two cars there. An absolutely incredible move there by Dan Ticktum. And the important thing here to look out for, and from a driver's perspective, when you're getting the tow like that, you get the tow from the closest car so that you basically, it feels like you've released the handbrake. You're getting a forward momentum because of the lack of drag that you're having. But the reason that Ticktum managed to do this move here is partly because it's gone to the outside. When you're all caught up on the inside, granted it is quite good for kind of protecting your position, but when you're on the outside of the corner, you can be a bit more adventurous on the brakes, because if you do make a mistake and lock up, you're not actually going to take out 2 or 3 of the cars as if you would do if you were on the inside. So imagine being on the inside of the corner and you brake a fraction too late. When you do that, you then collect the cars on the outside, and so naturally you're a little bit more protective when you're running on the outside. And you can see here that Ticktum actually has a bit of a lock-up in this area, but because he's on the outside, he's able to be much more committed. So on board with some British touring car action, some of the best action that we have in the UK. A couple of cars side by side. We're at Snetterton, Plato and Ash Sutton. Ash Sutton's round the outside, getting a good run into the next corner, which is a left-hander, so he's on the inside, and he's through. He's made the pass happen. Really close racing in the British touring cars. And then we cut to the following lap where Plato's coming back at Sutton in the blue car and basically just tags him forward through the corner. Now this is something that we see quite a lot in British touring cars, where the drivers are making quite a lot of contact. But as a driver, you really take that decision as to whether you're a driver who kind of forces his way through or has a bit of rubbing but is generally fair. And in my opinion, this shows both of those examples pretty well. Ash Sutton comes around the outside of Plato here in that blue and white car around the outside. Now he is using quite a lot of road on the exit, but there's not too much contact there. There's a bit of rubbing as they come down to the next turn, and he makes his way through. If you compare that to the next lap, where the Subaru, the blue and white car, is on the inside, and we've got Plato behind. He basically just pushes him forwards through the corner. And in my opinion, that isn't a fair overtaking manoeuvre at all, because you are forcing them out the way. Sutton in the blue and white Subaru there has got the job done. He's getting the car slowed down, but he's being forced forward by the car behind him. So again, we have a bit of NASCAR here at the Daytona 500. FedEx car, number 11, is getting a good run. Number 28, the yellow car's, whoa, that's some aggressive defending, and brings it down on an oval. And I've only driven on a few of them, to be honest, in Indy Lights in the US. You have to be super careful making any rash kind of movements down or up the track, because obviously the cars are right on the limit. Now, if we go back and take a look at this, I would say that the defense of the yellow car here, he can see the FedEx car, number 11, coming, so he moves up the track. And then the number 11 car comes back down, and watch the 20 car, the yellow car. At this point, he's coming down too much. The 11 car's got a good run on him. He's actually got his nose just on the rear quarter of the 20 car. And, you know, at that point, the 20 car's not done enough. He's not defended well enough, and it's time to give up the position. But he continues and pushes the limit as much as he can. They make contact. Has a little bit of a wobble there, the 20 car, but then the 11 car makes it through. So that defense was just on the limit, I think, and well done to the 11 car for keeping his foot. So here we are at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit, going into Paddock Bend, one of the best corners in the world. The black and orange Honda's going around the outside of the other Honda and gets the job done. And while that may not look like the most exciting maneuver, in the wet it's incredibly difficult to balance the car as you're going into the corner and really understand how much grip is available. Now, technically, what's interesting there is the difference between the dry and the wet line. You can see the black and orange car is actually running really, really wide around the outside of Paddock Bend here. And the reason is, in the dry, everybody runs on pretty much the same racing line, and this lays rubber down into the track. Now, of course, when it rains, this rubber becomes very, very slippery. And so a lot of the time, it can be much faster to go around the outside of the rubber. And so Camish in the black and orange Honda here has used that to his advantage. He's sent the car around the outside of the corner, waited for it to grip up on the outside off the rubber, and therefore he can go around the corner that little bit quicker. So here we have some Rallycross. Didn't even have time to do my intro there. I mean, I think that driver just went from 4th position to 1st in a really dramatic move around the outside. Absolutely incredible. So let's take a look in slow motion just to see. Yeah, so at this point, look at the red and white car. He's in 4th position. He's set himself up, I think, to just bury the car around the outside and see what happens. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, sometimes when you go around the outside, you can be more confident and take more risk, because you're not going to wipe anybody out by driving into the side of them, as you might do if you're on the inside of the track. So watch that red and white car. He's already on the outside. He's waiting for all the others to get on the brakes before him. On the brakes, flicks it in so that he's got loads of angle. And the trick is here, I mean, look at that picture. That's absolutely incredible. He's almost at 90 degrees to the other cars here. But having all of that angle is enabling him to bury the throttle at this point here. And with the 4-wheel drive that these cars have, that will pull him out of the corner and get him into the race lead. Okay, so here we are on a street circuit. Dives to the inside, everything's locked up, runs a bit deep, and man, what a fantastic manoeuvre that is. I've actually seen this one before. Really good move, full of commitment, and also relying on the other car not to defend too much and get out of the way. It's very easy for a move like this to go wrong because it is so close to the limit. Now, technically, it's quite interesting again. The cars are coming through, if we take a look at the onboard footage here, the cars are coming through a kind of right kink before the left. And so when the car's turning like this, because some of the tyre's grip is used for turning, less of it is available for braking. A tyre's only got a finite amount of grip. And so what the blue and yellow car is doing really well here is, as they come through the right, he dives over to the left and straight lines the racing line down to the 8. That enables the platform of the car to be flatter. The car isn't doing any turning, so that means that all of the tyres grip can be used for deceleration, therefore enabling him to get on the brakes a little bit later than his opponent. On top of that, this driver's obviously got fantastic car control and a lot of aggression to even have the audacity to try and make this move happen. So here we are on board at Spa. Good move around the outside going into Eau Rouge. We've got a good run as well. A train of British F3 cars here. 4 of them in a row. We're getting a toe off the first one, toe off the second one, toe off the third one, getting a good run. Oh. And he's made a connection, bump drafting with the car in front, and they've made it through the whole pack of cars. Now, looking at the liveries here, I think these two are actually teammates. This is something that we might see in touring cars or NASCAR, but it isn't something that we see frequently in single-seaters. It is much harder to do in single-seaters because the kind of contact patch whereby you'll make that connection with the car in front of you is much smaller. There's actually a crash box in the back of the car in front, and then the nose of these single seaters is actually very sturdy, obviously for the crash regulations as well. So when you make the contact like this, it's a small point, but it's a strong point, and you can force that car forwards to great effect, as you just saw. If you enjoyed this, check out this other video where I break down Fernando Alonso's really strange steering technique, and this other video where I react to some insane rally moments. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe to the Driver 61 channel.